Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining us today. Very, very important topic. In fact, if you look around yourself, if you look outside your window, everywhere there are discussions taking place on taxation. What is coming? What is in store for us? In the upcoming budget session. What has the government planned for businesses, for individuals, for the economy, for the GDP growth? How is the government going to do the spending, what priorities, stock market, what's happening about that. So a lot of discussion. The television is full of these news, the printed media is full of these news. All accounting bodies are presenting their proposals, and therefore very, very important and critical time of the year when professionals should get together and talk about what is going to happen in the upcoming budget. Let me first of all introduce myself, and then we'll kick off formally. My name is Haroon Ahmed Jan. I am the Regional Head of Member Affairs from ACCA. We joined today by our worthy guests. I'll very quickly introduce them right now. So we are joined by Mr. Sajid Aslam. He's the head of ACCA Pakistan. And then we are joined also by Mr. Ziaul Mustafa. He's the president of ICMA Pakistan. We have with us Mr. Umar Zahir Mir. He's the chair of our members network panel and also the head of our taxation subcommittee. And at the same time, we have with us Mr. Atif Nawaz, who is a fellow ACCA member and also a member of the taxation subcommittee. He also has linkages with the Karachi Tax Bar Association. So we are waiting for 3 more guests who are on their way to join this session. We will be joined shortly by the president of Karachi Tax Bar Association, the president of Lahore Tax Bar Association, and the senior vice president of Park China Joint Chamber of Commerce and Industry. So very, very quickly getting onto the subject, I want to very briefly mention that ACCA globally has a very strong voice and a lot of interest in the taxation policies across different economies. And from time to time, ACCA keeps bringing up this subject of how can taxation systems be more efficient, how can tax systems be more judicious, fair, simplified, and how can they be standardized. And I think one very quick win or success, very, very quick success factor can be how how can Pakistan's taxation system be compared with the rest of the world. That can be a very, very quick match, and that can tell us where do we lag and where do we need to improve. um, Particularly speaking about Pakistan, I think just like ICMAP, ACCA has also been producing budget recommendations for many, many years now, and we have done something similar this time around as well. So today's session, we will be hearing about ACCA's budget proposal. We'll be talking about ICMAP's budget proposal, what key recommendations have been made, what should be anticipated, so on and so forth. But before all that, let me hand over to Mr. Sajid Aslam, head of ACCA Pakistan, to give some welcome remarks and set the scene for today's discussion. Sajid, over to you.
Thank you, Harun. And we have got honorable guest with us. So I'll not get into the technical details here, but I would like to welcome the audience and the panelists here that how we build this conversation. एक historically हम हमेशा से एक बात करते आए हैं कि क्या ये जो proposal और वो जो सारी effort होती है, does it really make sense? Anybody listen to it? लेकिन ये जो एफर्ट्स होती है और इसमें एक बहुत बड़ी ओपिनियन पाई जाती है कि जो एफर्ट होती है प्री बजट या बजट के प्रपोजल या एंगेजमेंट्स की, इसकी शायद कोई वैल्यू नहीं है क्योंकि गवर्नमेंट डजंट लिसन. आई थिंक ये जो परसेप्शन है दैट्स नॉट राइट. अगर हम इसको प्रपोजल्स को देखें और हम लास्ट 10 इयर्स की बात करें कि द डिफरेंट प्रपोजल व्हिच वर प्रेजेंटेड एट डिफरेंट टाइम, और हम आज के बजट की शेप देखें और पॉलिसी की शेप देखें, तो वहां पे एक सर्टेन कंट्रीब्यूशन आ रहा होता है. द एक्सपेक्टेशन फॉर द इंडस्ट्री के हमने किसी एक एरिया में सर्टेन रिकमेंडेशन दी और वो रिकमेंडेशन एज इट इज एक्सेप्ट हो गई, तो दैट कुड बी दैट मे बी और मे नॉट बी द केस. लेकिन ये जो एफर्ट और ये डिबेट और ये जो कन्वर्सेशन है, ये उस पॉलिसी फ्रेमवर्क का पार्ट बनती है जो इन द कमिंग ईयर्स इस चीज को आगे लेके चलती है। ये जिद्दोजहद, ये जो मूवमेंट होती है, ये जो एफर्ट होती है, इसमें जो हर शख्स का कंट्रीब्यूशन आता है, individually or as a corporate level, as an entity, I think we should appreciate that, and those contributions are making certain changes. हम वो चेंजेस पाकिस्तान में भी देख रहे हैं और वो चेंजेस हमें ग्लोबली भी नजर आ रही है। सो जो perception I would like के effort की जो returns हैं, that may take a little longer, but we should keep continuing to build that conversation and build that debate, which can become a guiding principle or a policy framework in the future. मैं बजट पे बात नहीं करूंगा, टेक्निकलिटीज में नहीं जाऊंगा। आई एम श्योर देयर इज अ पैनल डिस्कशन कमिंग अप और वो उसको बहुत बेहतर तरीके से हैंडल कर सकेंगे। मैं आई रेफर बैक टू द वेरी फंडामेंटल इशू जिसको हम पब्लिक ट्रस्ट की बात करते हैं। जो स्टेट और सिटीजन का एक रिलेशनशिप है, दैट इज ऑलवेज बेस्ड ऑन अ सर्टेन पब्लिक ट्रस्ट, कि एक सिटीजन जो है वो उस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट को जो उसने एक स्टेट के साथ साइन किया हुआ है, उसमें स्टेट की परफॉर्मेंस और सिटीजन की परफॉर्मेंस किस तरह मैयर होती है, किसका कंट्रीब्यूशन कैसा है। और इसके ऊपर एसीसीए ने अभी वेरी रिसेंटली एसीसीए पब्लिश्ड अ रिपोर्ट which is called G20 public trust in taxation। और ये रिपोर्ट जो है ये फॉर्मुलेट हुई है आईफैक के साथ, चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट ऑस्ट्रेलिया न्यूजीलैंड के साथ, और एसीसीए ने पार्टनरशिप में ये एक पूरी रिसर्च पब्लिश की है। और उसकी बड़ी अच्छी फाइंडिंग है, बड़ी स्पेसिफिक फाइंडिंग है G20 के हवाले से भी और कुछ जेनेरिक फ्रेमवर्क्स के लिहाज से भी। और एक चीज जो मुझे उसमें बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग लगती है, इवन व्हेन वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट G20, और बहुत सी परसेप्शन ये है कि डेवलप्ड कंट्रीज का कल्चर डिफरेंट होता है और उनकी रिक्वायरमेंट्स फर्क होती है। वहां पे भी एक चीज बड़ी अपेरेंटली सामने आ रही है, द पब्लिक हु इज पेइंग टैक्सेस, दे वांट टू सी देयर कंट्रीब्यूशन क्रिएटिंग अ डायरेक्ट रिलेशनशिप विद द फाइनेंशियल और इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ। और ये सारी चीजें जो है, जब हम इस पब्लिक ट्रस्ट के फंडामेंटल की बात करते हैं कि मैंने एज अ टैक्स पेयर एक टैक्स पे किया है, मुझे थोड़ी सी विजिबिलिटी चाहिए, ट्रांसपेरेंसी चाहिए कि मेरा टैक्स का पैसा कहाँ पे खर्च हो रहा है। सो ये तो एक डिमांड आती है सिटीजन्स के साथ। और एक और चीज जो इंटरेस्टिंगली इस रिपोर्ट में हाईलाइट हो रही है, वो है रोल ऑफ अकाउंटेंट्स। कि प्रोफेशनल अकाउंटेंट्स कैसे ब्रिज करते हैं इस गैप को, और कैसे वो एंगेज करते हैं रेगुलेटर्स को, गवर्नमेंट को और सिटीजन्स को, टू इंश्योर कि आपके मैसेजेस जो हैं वो एक सिंप्लीफाइड और अंडरस्टैंडेबल लैंग्वेज में ट्रांसलेट हो रहे हैं। सो ये भी एक चीज आ रही है, द रोल ऑफ प्रोफेशनल अकाउंटेंट और प्रोफेशनल पीपल हु आर एंगेजिंग विद द टैक्स पेयर्स एंड द टैक्स डिपार्टमेंट्स। अब वो रोल पाकिस्तान में हम किस तरह प्ले कर रहे हैं एज अकाउंटेंट, आर वी क्रिएटिंग अ कॉन्फिडेंस एंड वी आर बिल्डिंग अ ट्रस्ट, या हमारी कन्वर्सेशन इस तरह की होती है जो एक टैक्स पेयर को डिस्करेज कर रहा होता है। सो ये एक सेल्फ अकाउंटेबिलिटी एज अकाउंटेंट भी हमारे लिए जरूरी है। एट द सेम टाइम गवर्नमेंट के लिए क्या जरूरी है, इफ सिटीजन ट्राई टू ट्रस्ट और डिसाइड टू ट्रस्ट, which normally a matter of decision, I always say, if they decide to trust, are they creating a conducive environment to uphold that trust, or are they creating more evidence where they discourages or they discourage the taxpayer कि वो टैक्स देने के लिए आया and then they have to go through a certain harassment। और अगर मैं पिछले 10 साल की अगेन फिर दोबारा से बात करूं, तो हमने रेगुलेटर में टेक्नोलॉजी की इंट्रोडक्शन के बाद बहुत सी फैसिलिटेशन देखी है। अब यहाँ पे एक रोल अकाउंटेंट का आता है कि इन गिवन अ सर्टेन सर्कमस्टांसेस, हाउ वी बिल्ड ट्रस्ट ऑफ द टैक्स पेयर, कि इस टेक्नोलॉजी ने जो एक डायरेक्ट इंटरेक्शन रिड्यूस की है, इज इट समथिंग व्हिच वी कैन लेवरेज एंड वी कैन स्टार्ट क्रिएटिंग अ कल्चर जहां पे ज्यादा से ज्यादा लोग टैक्स फाइल कर रहे हो। टैक्स पे आज भी ज्यादातर लोग कर रहे हैं क्योंकि वो सेल्स टैक्स की फॉर्म में या इलेक्ट्रिसिटी की फॉर्म में वो कहीं ना कहीं वो टैक्स पे करके आ रहे होते हैं। द क्वेश्चन इज दैट इफ वी हैव पेड द टैक्स, आर वी फाइलिंग द डिक्लेरेशन, आर वी मेकिंग द इकोनॉमी मोर डॉक्यूमेंटेड, as an accountant, are we playing our role to build that confidence? Are we guiding them in the right direction? So I think ये state और citizen के contract के दरमियान एक role as a professional हमारा भी है, how we bridge the gap and how we build that trust, and then the government how they uphold that trust. So ये roles जो हैं इनको हम इग्नोर नहीं कर सकते। सो ये एक इंटरेस्टिंग रोल है और इसमें बहुत से लोगों की लोग आपके ऊपर रिलाई कर रहे होते हैं एज अ प्रोफेशनल कि आप उन्हें जो एडवाइस दे रहे होंगे, that advice will lead to a better economy, that advice will lead to a transparent reporting, that advice will lead to a better documentation of the economy. So my message as a professional accountant would be, please have that self accountability, how we are contributing in that ecosystem, और हमारा रोल क्या होना चाहिए और आज हमारा क्या रोल. So that's a message, and I'll welcome all the honorable guests, and I welcome the entire audience here. And I wish you a very good conversation and debate. And I hope you will be interactively asking those tough questions and technical questions to our panelists, and you will enjoy that deliberation. So thank you very much. Over to you, Umar.
Thank you. That's wonderful, Sajid. I think you have very effectively set the tone and scene for today's session. Um, I will quickly brief about the key highlights of today's session. And before we will do that, may I request all the participants to mute their mic. Zishan Sab, can you kindly mute your mic, please?
I'm just doing that.
Thank you. Thank you. So, I'll quickly go through the key highlights of the taxation proposals, but before that, I would like to mention a few things. First of all, today's session, which is being organized by ACCA in collaboration with ICMA Pakistan, with whom we have a strategic partnership alliance. We are also honored to be joined today by Mr. Zishan Merchant, who is the president of Karachi Tax Bar Association. We are also joined by Mr. Ziaul Mustafa himself, as was previously introduced, who is the president of ICMA Pakistan. We are also looking forward to be joined by Mr. Jameel Akhtar Beg, who is the president of Lahore Tax Bar Association, and Mr. Daud Ahmed, SVP of Pakistan China Joint Chamber of Commerce and Industry. We also have with us Atif Nawaz, who is a good friend, a fellow chartered certified accountant, member of our taxation subcommittee, and he's also working in Deloitte as well. Now, first things first, this global pandemic of COVID-19, a once in a lifetime event of this magnitude, re- just not only resulted in a global economic slump and fiscal pressures across the globe, it also changed the outlook to many traditional views, be it about the working styles, wellness, healthcare, or economic and budgetary proposals. So historically, there has been a tendency in Pakistan to prepare budget proposals which are more aptly should be termed as taxation proposal. ACC and ICMAP about a couple of years back started changing the trend, and it's good to see that other accounting bodies are also trying to catch up on it. So this year too, the budget proposal that we have prepared is a document that has focused on promoting measures, not just on the taxation measures and different taxation areas, but on various proposals to help ease the ease of doing business in Pakistan, about the structural reforms, how to stimulate the economy, the investment in various sectors, sectoral analysis, how to go ahead, and overall, the proposals focused on ensuring that if they are to be adopted, then we can see the fulfilling of the enormous potential, the enormous economic potential that Pakistan has to offer. Just to share some key highlights with our participants as well as our delegates, we have focused on Adam Smith's four canons of taxation, of fair and equitable taxation, certainty, convenience, and efficiency. And we have then started building upon using ACCA's 12 global tenets of taxation. I'm also a member of the Global Tax Forum, and it's really an eye opener when you get to interact with various taxation professionals from across the globe, many of them facing similar challenges as Pakistan, some of them even beyond in the journey from where we are at the moment, and some certainly much ahead. So you get to learn and share the experiences and really get a wide exposure on a global level. Capitalizing on that, the 12 tenets are a presumption to tax neutrality, openness and transparency, simplification, certainty, accountability, and regular review, and tax as a policy, as a percentage of GDP, efficiency, tax shifting, and hypothetication, which has a very important role to play, tax as a matter of national sovereignty, subject of the rule of law, respect of human rights, and avoidance of double taxation. We then moved on discussing about the various measures about broadening the tax base, be it about reduction in tax rates, bringing them down to single digits, or increase in tax net by deploying the artificial analysis, intelligence, and data analysis on withholding tax deduction data, NADRA databases, provincial authorities tax data, property data, utility, air travel, etc. Now we have such extensive data to capitalize on. Similarly, an increased impetus on direct taxation to achieve equity and certainty as well as efficiency has been recommended, making CNIC as NTN, which has been announced many times, but as you are all aware, never been fully effectively implemented, has again been drawn attention to. Similarly, rationalization, standardization, and automation of tax laws and administration has been a case in point. Now, about the broadening of the tax base, I've mentioned about the reduction in rate. Just to put things in perspective, Pakistan not only have one of the highest tax rates in the region, but also one of the most complex tax systems. Talking about all the various levels, we have about 73 different types of taxes operational in Pakistan. Now, to give you an idea of an overview, I won't go into the 73 taxes detail. That would be too time consuming, but just quickly grab any one tax. Let's talk about sales tax. So the standard rate of sales tax generally, sales tax on goods, administered by FPR is 17%, bearing some areas where the rate is much lesser. Now let's compare that with the region. The average around Asia is about 12%. In Bangladesh, the average is close to 15% on the higher side, but you can compare that with more progressive economies like Malaysia sitting at just 6% and Indonesia at a rate of 10%. We can even learn from our neighbor in India, which has the rate range from 5% to 28%. And they actually use this as a policy tool to encourage certain segments and discourage spending in certain segment to ensure that they have a current account positive balance and they can control their fiscal deficits. Similarly, we have spoken about the structural reforms, harmonization of federal and provincial taxes, a single tax return, reduction in the discretionary power, introducing performance evaluation criteria for tax officials by incorporating impact on economic sectors under jurisdiction as a key performance measures, resolving various issues, and ensuring a continuation of policy of differential tax treatments for filers, having independent appellate forums. But more importantly, something that I'm really proud of and really want our panelists to focus on too is we have incorporated an entire economic sectoral analysis. So we all know that just before the budget, the government released the data about the GDP growth, which was surprising to many, but later on was vindicated by many international institutions from IMF to World Bank to Forbes, etc. Now, if we go through those figures, we are well aware that there has been a healthy transformation from a heavy current account deficit to a current account surplus. This policy definitely should be continued, and many proposals in this regard have been proposed. Agricultural sector has recorded a growth of 2.77%, which is good, but this sector has the potential with the right steps to reach up to 55% of the GDP from the current meager level of under 24%. So many proposals in this regard has been introduced. Similarly, the main drivers for the economic growth have been manufacturing at 8.71% and construction 8.34%. The governmental policies in this regard have been appreciated and proposed to be continued with some minor adjustment and additional proposals. Roshan Digital have been highly appreciated. We all know that it has attracted a lot of foreign currency influx from overseas Pakistanis, which is very important to ensure that we have a current account surplus as well as help containing the fiscal deficit. While these have been good measures, it is also pointed out couple of things which have been troubling. Number one is the decline, the minus growth of, in fact, we should be really saying the minus result of minus 6.49% in mining and quarrying, and the astounding and really worrying almost negative 23% in the electricity generation. Proper legislation and rationalization to attract the FDI, working on the transmission lines and the energy mix, and revising the current costly agreements can help resolve the problems in both these areas. Equally troubling is the unemployment rate of 5.8%, which, when analyzed further, highlights that the highest in unemployment at 11.56% was prevalent within the age group of 20 to 24%. Now, let us remember the biggest resource for Pakistan is our human resource. We are lucky that 70% of our population, 65 point something, close to 70%, is actually youth. And if we are to invest in the human resource and our youth, the sky's the limit. We can build a modern technological based knowledge economy on that. And I'm sure and I know that ICMAP and our tax bars also support these proposals. Similarly, we have proposed to support the service sector, the IT sector. With regard to CPEC, we have given some detailed proposal. And one unique proposal that we, I believe, are the first body to put forward is that in CPEC, we should introduce a similar area and concept of China-Pakistan technology zone. We're not just the IT and emerging sciences, but we should really be focusing on the game-changing technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning, data analytics, and blockchain, because this is the future. Um, just to give a comparison, it's like talking about IT in the 90s, talking about internet in the 90s. So similarly, we are at a stage where if we focus on these technologies, we will be in a position to be a leader, not just in the region, but even globally as well. And we have the example of India to look towards, that till 90s, Pakistan was much ahead economically in terms of GDP growth, and then came the IT revolution in India and it flipped the tables. So now the destiny, the global macroeconomic is again presenting an opportunity, and it's up to us and our policymakers to capitalize on that. Similarly, the BPO sector has a lot of potential, and we have given these detailed proposals. The proposal document has already been shared with everyone and has been widely circulated. So this is just a quick overview. And the reason I gave this overview was to show that while we are looking at the areas for improvement within the taxation structure, within the taxation regime, the taxation reforms, the structural reforms, the articulation of the laws, the actual harmonization between various provincial bodies as well as the provincial and central bodies, we have also gone the extra mile to focus on the upcoming areas, the upcoming game changing technologies, as well as the economic analysis where our economy should really be focusing, and how can we be looking forward as a forward thinking nation to help generate the opportunities for our youngsters as well as our professionals. With this, it's now time to move forward towards our panel discussion. We have received message that one of our panelists is facing some troubles joining in, and Haroon Saab is trying to help resolve the issue. But since we have most of the panelists with us, I would like to start the panel discussion without any delay. And the panelists facing the problem will hopefully be able to join us in due time. I have previously introduced all the panelists, but it is only relevant, and I should be introducing them all before we formally start the panel discussion. So in no particular order, we have Mr. Ziaul Mustafa with us, who is the Honorable President of the ICMA Pakistan. ICMA Pakistan is one of the leading accounting bodies in Pakistan and is in a strategic partnership agreement with ACCA, also resulting in a global footprint. We also have with us Honorable Mr. Zishan Merchant, who needs no introduction in the taxation circle. He is the president of Karachi Tax Bar Association. We also have with us Mr. Daud Ahmed. दाऊद साहब आप काइंडली अपना कैम ऑन कर दीजिए अपना कैमरा ताकि हम आपको देख भी सकें और
I'm
मीनवाइल अगर आप
sorry.
अपना माइक म्यूट
I
कर
am sorry.
लीजिए
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
जी वी कैन
I'm
हेयर यू
sorry to.
परफेक्टली
I am sorry to disturb you in between. Actually, I tried it on the laptop, but I couldn't get the connection. So, as a compromise, I am on the cell phone. I can listen and I can see some of the panelists. I think there's no problem. When my turn come, I can put in my word.
चलें परफेक्टली फाइन फिर इस चीज के ऊपर कि हम आपके कीमती व्यूज सुन सकेंगे हम इस दिल पे पत्थर रख के आपकी जियारत से महरूमी को कबूल कर लेते हैं समथिंग वी
Thank
हैव
you
टू
very much.
लिव विद इन दिस एज
No, nothing much to see. Nothing much to
चलें
see and nothing much to declare.
Okay. We also have with us Atif Nawaz, who is a fellow chartered certified accountant and who is also a member of our ACCA taxation subcommittee. We welcome you all. We are looking forward to be joined by Mr. Jameel Akhtar Beg, who is the president of Lahore Tax Bar Association. Hopefully, the technical issue should be resolved soon. So we'll begin with you, Zia Saab. Zia Saab, you have been at the forefront in terms of the accounting bodies advocating forward looking initiatives. You are also a big voice for advocating and collaboration. And I know ICMAP has also put forward its proposals, which are very similar to ACCS proposals. So, my first question to you, sir, is how do you view ACCA's proposal that I've just given a highlight of and ICMAP's proposal? What is your overview in simpler words for our audience? What are we trying to achieve by this exercise?
Want to be Omar, thank you very much for this invitation. More or less, the proposals given by ACCA and ICMA and other tax bar, we are all are professionals and we are all facing day-to-day issues, and our proposals are based on facts and reality. So more or less, proposals are matching with each other, and we all are addressing the core issues. And the objective of all the stakeholders is to improve the system of taxation, improve the revenue measures of the government, and give suggestion for the expansion of economy, for the growth of economy, for opportunities, job creation. So these are the ultimate objectives of all these budget proposals. So I appreciate the work done by the ACCA Taxation Committee, and likewise ICMA Pakistan. For the decades we are doing this job, and we are always giving proposals on every issue, whether it is a monetary policy or it is a budget or any kind of other policies, trade policies. So the edge of these accounting bodies are that we have first-hand information through our members, those who are serving in the different sectors. And on the basis on their suggestions, we are normally compiling such information and forward to the relevant stakeholders. So suggestions are very good. Likewise, a few things which ICMA has proposed, I would like to take those which I think you could not mention, maybe due to paucity of time. And so there are something you left for us so that we can speak. We can also. There are a few proposals like that which on which government is working, like especially for the audit of the income tax. So, and they are willing to go for the third party audit. We are appreciating that measure of the government, and we are supportive of that, that all professional accountants should be engaged for that matter instead of the machinery of FBR. So this will make it more transparent, and with the passage of time these things will be improved. Maybe initially the professional accountants will face few difficulties, but I believe that this is the start, and with the passage of time this will be improved. Likewise, we have also proposed like cost audit in various sectors and various segments, like where the consumer interest is is heavy. There is major consumer interest, and especially for the in the sector of utilities. We recommended that it should be it should be start to be implemented. Already the direction has been given to the SCCP, and we are of the opinion that this should be enhanced for the other consumer sectors as well, where the society has a at large interest of the society is there. So on the revenue side, and there is in the budget there is one is the revenue side and other is the expenditure side. Normally, we mostly talk about the revenues which we are generating from the taxation, and there are non-tax revenues as well. You have highlighted few things about the tax revenues कि उसको single digit में कर दें और उसको facilitate करें कुछ sectors को pandemic की वजह से we have to give them some relief. एंड हमने इसमें जो नॉन टैक्स रेवेन्यूज हैं उनको भी बड़ा हाईलाइट किया बिकॉज इसको बहुत कम लोग हाईलाइट कर रहे हैं. देयर आर सेवरल पब्लिक सेक्टर कंपनीज, कॉर्पोरेशंस, ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस जो कमर्शियल वेंचर्स ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट, वहां पे क्या है, वहां पे वो क्या डिविडेंड गवर्नमेंट को दे रहे हैं, वो कैसे कंट्रीब्यूट कर रहे हैं, ठीक है. दिस शुड आल्सो नीड टू बी फोकस्ड. So because government has spent a lot in in various sectors, in oil and gas and in infrastructure and different sectors, and in social sector as well, where government has generating what kind of surplus they are contributing, we have to focus on that as well. We have to increase the contribution of these organizations in the revenue. We have to focus. So uske upar bhi hamara tha ki we must publish the accounts and the annual reports of such organizations, and in which it should be in the clarity ke what they are contributing under the non-tax revenues, what kind of dividends they are giving to the government. So this is one side, and then all the things are dependent on the data. All thing is data. And in Pakistan, sometimes we are facing the issue of data variation. अब जैसे growth rate 4% पे आई तो बात बहुत से most of the economists and most of the professionals are of the opinion कि this is exaggerated and not matching और ये. So our proposal was in this regard that government of Pakistan must go for the development of one website in which few things should be available to the public at large and to all the stakeholders. One is the one purpose of this website that all the public sector entities and the corporations, the data of all corporations should be available. That is assets, liabilities, their properties, and what kind of income they are generating, whether they are in loss, profit. So such things are available so that people can suggest them, and the stakeholders can give them some suggestions for the improvement. So this is required. And then the sectorial data. What is the production of a cement sector, of agriculture, of construction? Because these are varying. स्टेट बैंक का डाटा है, फिर आपके पास एफपीआर का डाटा है, फिर आपके पास प्लानिंग कमीशन का डाटा है, फिर स्टैटिस्टिक. सो इस डाटा को इसकी ऑथेंटिसिटी को हमें बेहतर करना है. So it is better कि एक जगह पे जब ये डाटा कंपाइल होगा, एक जगह पे रिफ्लेक्ट होगा, because all the decision making and all the proposal depends on the authenticity of the data. वो जितना authentic होगा उतनी आपकी चीजें उतनी proposal बेहतर होगी. So this is one of the suggestion that you should go for that. Mayor, आप जितने भी budget analysis दें, उसके बाद उसके variance analysis दें, उसके बाद उसके growth के analysis दें, trend analysis दें, so that we can contribute and we can comment on all such things. तो हमारा main focus इन चीजों पे रहा. फिर then the cost of doing business and ease of doing business. These are the two major things which are required for the enhancement of economy, for the growth of the economy. So ease of doing business में तो आपकी simplicity of taxation laws है, technology based solutions हैं, और वो सारी चीजें. और normally more or less we are talking about the same things कि इसको बस simplify किया जाए और सब चीजों को बेहतर. और अगर हम cost of doing business में जाएं तो likewise उसके अंदर भी यही चीज है कि हम how we can make the things competitive. उसके अंदर कैसे analysis है in the region, what is happening right now, and what are the major cost components here, and how we can improve this. And utility is one of the major factors. So conversion cost is one of the major factors. Availability of material is one of the main thing. तो इन दो तीन elements को जब हम देखते हैं तो then we have to improve the things के उन sectors में कहाँ पे हो सकते हैं. further spending honi chahiye, or the focus should be towards spending. This is a part of our suggestions. Where public sector development program ka size badhna chahiye, and we are it's good to hear that the government has enhanced this size, and inshallah on June 11 we will listen that they are enhancing their spending on the public sector, and this will generate the economic activity. So these are the few broader things which in the broader manner I have discussed with you on the part of ICMA. So if you have, you may continue. This is from my side.
फैंटास्टिक फैंटास्टिक जया साहब, दिस इज व्हाट स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनरशिप इज ऑल अबाउट. हम कुछ बोलते हैं, कुछ आपके लिए छोड़ते हैं, फिर जब वो आपस में मिलता है तो खूबसूरत पिक्चर मुकम्मल होती है. लेकिन I really like the way you put the things forward. Thank you so much for such an elaborative answer for our audience. मैं आपकी बात को कंप्लीट करते हुए अगले सवाल से पहले एक चीज मेंशन कर दूं कि आई नो ICMAP ने भी ये प्रपोज किया है, ACCA ने थोड़ा और इसको आगे एडिशनल पॉलिश करके जो हमने ग्लोबल प्रैक्टिसेस देखी हैं उस पे की है कि देखें, पब्लिक ट्रस्ट के लिए दो चीजें बड़ी इंपॉर्टेंट है. एक तो लीगल साइड पे रिफॉर्म्स वगैरह हम सारे प्रपोज कर रहे हैं. दूसरी डिलीवरेंस साइड पे दुनिया के मुख्तलिफ मुल्कों में, यूरोप में स्पेशली ये होता है कि टैक्स पेयर को डिलीवरेंस की रिपोर्ट दी जाती है कि आपके टैक्स का पैसा, मिसाल के तौर पे जिशान मर्चेंट साहब से 10 लाख टैक्स इकट्ठा हुआ, उसमें से 3 लाख डिफेंस पे गया, 2 लाख रुपया इंटरेस्ट की रीपेमेंट पे गया, 1 लाख हेल्थ को दिया गया, 1 लाख जिशान साहब के लोकल गवर्नमेंट को दिया गया, एटसेट्रा, जिससे पब्लिक ट्रस्ट बहुत बढ़ता है. हमने ये प्रपोज किया है कि ये चीज अब वक्त आ गया है कि पाकिस्तान में भी अडॉप्ट की जाए. सिमिलरली आई एम श्योर और भी इस तरह की बेशुमार मैयर्स हैं जिनका हम जिक्र नहीं कर सके, लेकिन अब हम जिक्र करते हैं एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट सवाल का from our worthy president Karachi Tax Bar, Zishan Saab, who is also a senior, a dear friend, and thank you for joining us today, Zishan Saab. It's also worth mentioning कि कराची टैक्स बार से भी ACCA का MOU है, हमारी पार्टनरशिप है जिसमें हम कोलैबोरेशन करते रहते हैं. Zishan Saab, the question that I want to put forward to you is one that is a major issue. We all know that lack of public trust is a key snag facing the taxation authorities in Pakistan. We have continuously proposed several structural reforms and harmonization measures. In your opinion, how is the lack of harmonization amongst the various provincial taxation authorities as well as between them and FBR is hampering both the public trust and ease of doing business in Pakistan? Over to you.
Thank you, Umar, for your extended introduction. I do not deserve such kind words, but yes, I'm a student of law, and being the student of law, I have my own point of views. With your question regarding the public trust vis-a-vis the issues that provincial and federal government face is they have multifaceted issues. The challenge is the provincial governments do not trust your federal government with regard to payments and repayment of taxes and the account settlements of taxes, due to which there is a constant issue between, let's say, the SRB and FBR and PRA and FBR, and then there is another set of problem between the provinces, let's say between PRA and SRB, or PRA or KPK, or KPK or SRB. So the main problem which, and all these problems then go back to the taxpayer who's intending to pay the tax, but is due to the jurisdictional issues is unable to pay one. The challenge is that बड़ा भाई कहता है कि मुझे टैक्स पे करो, छोटा भाई कहता है नहीं यार मेरे पास टैक्स आना चाहिए, एक कहता है ओरिजिनेशन पे करो, दूसरा कहता है टर्मिनेशन पे करो. So this creates a problem for the taxpayer who actually wants to pay tax, and then he says forget about it, I don't want to pay tax to anybody, let them recover it from me. So then there is the problem, and that creates the mistrust, and that creates a genuine problem not only for the taxpayers but the tax collectors. And when you talk about public trust, the public trust on these tax collecting authorities, be it federal, be it provincial, the first question any person you ask that why do you not pay tax, or why do you pay less tax? And the answer would be one, आप किसी से पाकिस्तान में पूछ लें कि जी मुझे मिलता क्या है मैं टैक्स पे करूँ. That's the lack of trust on the government because you don't get paid back. You take an example of any country, let's say Canada, let's say European country, even America, they collect higher taxes from their people, but they pay back. The education is free, their health is free, the security is safeguarded, and every possible infrastructure amenities they get. But what do you get when you pay tax? Your roads are broken, your infrastructure is in a mess, you don't get any quality education, you don't get health facilities, you don't get security to your life. It is but natural that there will be a public lack of public trust on the government of Pakistan. You can take an example that Pakistan is one of the most charity giving nations of the world. जब रमजान आता है तो जक़ात में पाकिस्तान के लोग बेइंतहा जक़ात देते हैं क्योंकि पता है कि वो जक़ात खुद निकालते हैं, खुद लोगों को पहुंचाते हैं, तो एक उनको पता है कि वो प्रॉपर जगह यूटिलाइज होगा. तो जो आपने बात की यूटिलाइजेशन, that if I paid ₹1 million of tax, and if I get to know that this portion is spent on debt servicing, this portion is spent on, I mean, this portion is spent on development, this portion is given back to the local government. Yes, this is the need of the time to create the जिसको कहना चाहिए ना, टू आप ट्रस्ट क्रिएट कैसे करेंगे, ट्रस्ट ऐसे ही क्रिएट होता है. फिर एक चीज जो बहुत अरसे से मिसिंग है, एंड एवरी वन ऑफ अस are demanding from these authorities is we should have taxpayers should have some rights. There was a debate previously regarding the taxpayers bills of rights, but it was only to the extent of debate. It was never implemented. So the challenge with the taxing authorities are that they have very narrow ways. They have to squeeze the tax from the only taxpayers that they are, which is 2.9 million odd. And out of
Let me let me let me let me just ask you this follow-up question because the conversation has gone to a very interesting point. If you could just briefly share your thoughts. We talk about broadening the tax base year after year, and it's not like that these tax professionals are not coming from space or they are not professional. They also understand the importance. We know we have all these databases now. In your opinion, what is hampering them from actually going towards broadening the tech space?
you see, the will is lacking. In a very simple and sweet answer, a one-liner is the lack of will. Because you see, when you try to impose tax on the traders, they stand up against you, and you have to kneel down against them. That they will have to. I mean, they'll close down their shops. The economy will go down, and there is this fear that they won't be elected because traders are the huge power. And then there is another mafia, which is high earning people who are not in the tax base. The challenge is multifaceted. You have the withholding tax data of non-filers. Why haven't you gone after them? It's time and again we've been telling it to FBR. It's a no-brainer. Then there is a challenge that when you increase your indirect taxation, people will run away from it. The poor will get more burdened less than the affectionate ones. You see, the challenge is कि आपका अमीर भी डबल रोटी पे उतना ही टैक्स दे रहा है, एग्जाम्पल दे रहा हूँ जितना गरीब दे रहा है. You ask that why people do not trust and come into the tax system. I'll just give you a very important, pertinent, a very practical example. My son is going to turn 21 this year. Last year, he wanted to file his tax return because he was earning a bit of tuition income. And he said, Baba, I want to become a tax filer. I want to become an NTN holder. मैंने कहा बेटा, you should do it, but you have to be careful because as soon as you become a filer, you will receive previous 5 years tax notices. And his answer was, Baba, I mean, if I receive 5 years old notices, that means that I would have been 15 by that. If I receive a notice for tax in 15, I would be 15 years. then how can they expect me to file return if I'm a 15-year-old boy? I said, beta, you are going to be victim of the system and not by choice. And this is the same example I gave member operations. And the answer I received from his team was, sir, ये तो automatic system खुद कर लेता है. And I thanked that person sitting in FBR's meeting. He validated my point that this is not your officer, but your computer who is selecting my son without looking at the facts of the case, because it is the discretion of the commissioner. And then this is what your this is what creates a lack of trust on the system. So you need to be careful. I said you need to be welcoming my son rather than burdening you with 5 years notices. I told member FBR loud and clear when he was visiting Karachi tax that you have initiated 5 years audit at one go, 5 years monitoring at one go. Do you think that you'll be able to recover taxes? He was of the opinion that अच्छा है ना जिशान साहब, एक ही दफा में जान छूट जाएगी. मैंने कहा जी सर, अच्छा है, टैक्स पेयर से ही एक ही दफा में जान छूट जाएगी यार, वो टैक्स पेयर भाग ही जाएगा आपकी सिस्टम से. So there are issues. You see, you have to be, ठीक है, equity to taxation होना चाहिए, impartiality होनी चाहिए, proper taxation होना चाहिए. There are no two views about it. But the challenge is that when you are going to discriminate between haves and have-nots, this is what will happen, that people will rather run away from the system. At this point of time, let me ask you one question. Whether those who are in the tax net well off or at ease, or those who are dodging the tax system are at ease? Just give me an answer.
आई थिंक वी ऑल नो द आंसर. और मैं आपको एक शेर डेडिकेट करता हूँ जिशान भाई. उसने जो भी कहा मैंने जाना, गोया ये भी मेरे दिल में था. मैंने आपको सेंड किया था ग्रुप में. आई विल बी पर्सनली सेंडिंग यू द बजट प्रपोजल. आपको बड़ी खुशी होगी. वो
I
ऐसे
have gone
लगता है
through
कि
your proposal.
आपको लगेगा जिशान मर्चेंट ने लिखा है.
I
ये जो
have
आपने
gone through
बातें
your budget
की.
proposal. They're very intriguing. You have not focused on any particular thing, but you have gone macro level over it, and you have given the. I mean, I was remembering Adam Smith. I was of the view that these are presented by Adam Smith. You have to be equitable. You have to follow the canons of taxation. You have to be just. You
True.
cannot leave X left, right, center. So
We will continue this Zishan bhai. Let me just move on to another very important area, because we are facing a time limitation, and I'll be coming back to you. But before that, we have a question on CPEC for Daud Saab. Daud Saab, can you unmute yourself, please? Daud Saab, the question we have for you is that we at ACCA believe that CPEC is still the game changer, and that a China-Pakistan technology corridor should be created to support the disruptive and emerging technologies. How do you believe such a step can help grow Pakistan's economy? Daud Saab, are you able to hear us? Um,
Can you hear me?
yes, we can hear you now.
Oh, thank you very much for the question. Definitely, it is a game changer, and there is no doubt about it. But I think we have to do our own homework also, which we have not done, unfortunately. You see, for example, uh, what I stress is, and what normally I propagate is that, you see, when the Chinese are coming to put up industries in Pakistan, we do not have any priority list. Our problem is the largest sector of Pakistan is textile, and you would be surprised that none of the ingredient which is used in textile for export is manufactured in Pakistan. All these products which are used in textile for finishing and for every department are formulated in Pakistan. We import the raw material and then we formulate with the result that we are paying 60-70% of the price by importing raw material. Unless we persuade the Chinese to put up the plant for the raw material in Pakistan, we would never be competitive in the international market. So what we are doing actually is the problem which we are facing is why we have not been able to expand our exports, or we have not been able to enlarge our export, is that we are neglecting 40 to 60% of the portion of the end product, which is the raw material. Raw material we are importing from abroad at higher prices, and we are always playing with 10 or 15% of the utilities. You see, either we reduce the duty. When we reduce the duty, you see there is a when we reduce the duty, the import goes up. Then we control the import. This constrict the import, and this also constrict
Excuse
the
me,
uh,
Dautsab, sorry to
G,
interrupt you. You are absolutely right about the value
G,
chain and the value addition. But
G.
what we want from you right now is if you could give your expert opinion on this specific sectoral project. I mean, you are absolutely right about CPEC, and we have seen that now the economic zones like Russia, Kai, etc., are starting to happen. And you are right about the value chain too. But what we are asking is that we are proposing that as part of CPEC, Pakistan should give a proposal and get a China Pakistan technology corridor incorporated, whose sole aim should be to build a knowledge economy in parallel to the infrastructure by focusing on artificial intelligence, blockchain, etc. Number one, do you think that is possible? Number two, if yes, how do you envision that can help Pakistan's economy? If you could guide us on this, please.
You see, all these proposals are on the table and it is being discussed at different level. But you see, we have not been able to finish the basic things which are the foundation. For example, SEZs which we have developed. You see, and they have not been yet engaged. You see, still you see most of the people have not come to put up their industry. So see, this maybe is the second or third step. First of all, we have to complete the first step. There's no doubt about it, because there should be exchange of technologies, there should be exchange of, even you see, we are discussing at our own level that there should be transfer of Pakistani students to China, and the Chinese students should come here, so that you see not only that people to people, and these students from Pakistan who go to China should get to work in factories for about 3 to 4 months, so that you see they have some background knowledge. But I think definitely it is very, very important, and ultimately all chambers and everybody is trying for it. But you see, first of all, in going to go to the second or third step, first of all, you have to make sure that your foundation is complete, and at least you see the something which is on your plate. At least that should be consumed.
Great. Thank you, Daud Sab. Zishan Sab, I know you have to go, but may I request you to give us just 5 minutes? I have to ask one question from Atif, and then I'll be coming to you. We need to ask you one thing before you go off.
Sure, sure.
Great.
Take your time.
Thank you. Atif, now over to you. Atif, we have discussed various specific measures, but instead of focusing on more taxation reforms measures, I mean, they are very important, but everyone have been discussing that. So why don't we discuss a bit about the various economic sectors? You have mentioned a specific interest in the agricultural sector. And we have already discussed that this sector recorded a growth of 2.77% as per the government stat, and it has the potential to reach up to 55% of the GDP. We have suggested that the landowners, large landowners, should be taxed at low rates like 6 to 7%, and the revenue generated through this should be used through an institution, a government run institution, to subsidize seeds, fertilizer, water, electricity, fuel, etc. for the small farmers, along with the use of latest technology being provided to these farmers and easy access to cheap or ideally interest-free finance. What is your opinion on this proposal? Is it something that is doable? And if yes, what do you see would be the possible impact on agricultural sectors, specifically of interest-free finances, as per the government stat? and the technological provision. Over to you, Atif.
Thank you very much, Umar Saab, for providing me opportunity with respect to agricultural income and taxation mechanism for that. In Pakistan, we see a number of times and we have a number of debates in the media that the landowners are not being taxed and growers are not being taxed. At first, we have to understand what is the mechanism of taxation. Is it just a revenue collection mechanism, or is it the purpose for the collector revenue to support the government expenses, or it has its own social impact and economical restructuring and like that? Obviously, our taxation policies plays a vital role in building the economic sector and like that. But when we, as you mentioned that the currently it's a 2.77% as per the government stats. See, last year it was in comparison it was 3.5%. In current year, whatever reason, there is a decline. And secondly, you have mentioned that we may give a proposal for the taxation. Yes, we can do. But as per the constitution, currently provincial governments are already have their ordinances to collect agricultural income tax. Sindh also has, Punjab also has. In Punjab, it's a rate for 15%. If a person, highest rate is 15%. If person is earning 4800,000 a year. So if we consider that it is already being taxed, if it is again came under the umbrella of federal taxation, that's income tax ordinance, it could be a double taxation. And secondly, if we tax it, there could be an impact that the inflation rate may be a little bit higher, because ultimately the grower will be collecting all the amounts from you. So we have to consider all the measures. Yes, I do agree.
Excuse me,
that
Atif, let me just focus the question. You are absolutely right, but let me just clarify. I tried to phrase it in detail so I can focus the point. Obviously, you are absolutely right. We know it's a provincial subject, but there's an argument that if the federation passes a law, it sets a precedent, although it's not going to be implemented in the provinces, but there would be a political pressure on them to follow suit. So what is actually proposed is to reduce the tax rate on the large landowners and then use that tax to support the small farmer by providing these subsidies and technologies. So what do you think about this proposal? That's what we need your input on. Over to you.
Yes, I really appreciate that proposal from ACC platform, that they should impose a type of a minimal tax and should invest that amount in subsidizing and supporting the farmers. Yes, I do agree. At the current, though it has an integral part in the economy and it has a highest rate, that's mean already mentioned by you, that it plays a part of up to 24% in our GDP. And again, it should be focused on more. And really, I was checking the statistics by State Bank of Pakistan. There was highest part in export, that was a 2.4 just from the vegetable products. And obviously, there is a decline in this year again. That's mean we need more focus in subsidizing and providing such type of the facilities that may increase the products and may increase our agriculture products growth. Yes, if there is, then obviously it will more boost our GDP. It will more be helpful in collecting the FDI by exporting and like that. Yes, if I see just one comment about how we have to consider the true issues being faced by the growers. Yes, there is a really it was a good time back in 10 years and ago when dairy system was in a better position, and जब नहर का पानी जमीन को पहुंचता है तो वो एक बहुत पावरफुल ताकत होती है, जबकि बहुत से एरियाज में आज वो नहीं है. एंड सेकंडली यू मेंशन अबाउट दैट अगर वो खुद से पानी ट्यूबवेल का लाते हैं तो उसकी पावर वो नहीं है. नाउ दे हैव टू इन्वेस्ट मोर ऑन सारी की सारी खाद और बीज और लाइक दैट एंड स्प्रे और सब चीजें वो उन आइटम्स के ऊपर और ज्यादा इन्वेस्टमेंट हो जाती है, तो अल्टीमेटली कॉस्ट इंक्रीज हुई है. पानी का इश्यू नहीं है, पानी है, पानी की डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन प्रॉपर नहीं हो रही पाकिस्तान में. If there are such, as you already mentioned with Ishan साहब के NBR के अंदर कुछ restructuring system होना चाहिए और सब चीजें, ये restructuring system अगर एग्रीकल्चर सिस्टम में भी आ जाता है तो यकीन जाने आपको बहुत बड़ी सपोर्ट मिलेगी और ये जो आप चीजें आज महंगी महंगी खरीद रहे हैं तो इसका इम्पैक्ट पड़ेगा. Again, one thing, now the government must have to consider what type of the products have a vital role in other products. Like in recent year, there is a decline in cotton products. So ultimately, that will have an impact on textile product. That will have an impact on export again. And obviously, the current government should consider such type of parameters as well. And they should boost the collection system. कानून है, कानून लागू नहीं है. और अगर एग्रीकल्चरल जो लोग कर रहे हैं उनके लोगों के पास अवेयरनेस ही नहीं है. इफ यू विजिट इन पंजाब, कहते हैं छड्डो जी रहन दो, जो होया वो वेख्या वैसी. So
enforcement and compliance is the challenge. Atif, how do you
yes,
expect
बहुत बड़ा enforcement challenge है.
आपके प्रेसिडेंट ने बात को बड़ा खूबसूरती से ना बड़ी चंद लफ्जों में उसको फाइनलाइज कर दिया. थैंक यू आतिफ फॉर योर इनपुट. विल बी कमिंग बैक टू यू अगेन, time permitting. Let me quickly move to Zishan Saab, since he has requested, there is a commitment he needs to go. Zishan Saab, there were actually a couple of questions I wanted to put to you, so I have to choose now, and I choose the one about structural reforms. When you went past the first two sections of the budget proposals, which were more macro, then it led to the sections about the individual reforms. And one of the major area that we talk about is structural reform. As you have rightly said, taxation problems are multifaceted in Pakistan. The trust issue comes from legislations, from structural reforms needed to be done, etc., etc. One issue is this, that currently there is a singular criteria to assess the taxation officer: collection. It doesn't matter how many of his decisions are set aside by the appellate courts. It's a different story that we have proposed there should be independent appellate forum, but that's not part of this question. We have proposed that there should be multifaceted measure to assess the performance of a taxation official. Yes, the collection can still remain the largest part, but there should be a segment to measure the growth of the business segment under his jurisdiction, increase in the number of taxpayers under his jurisdiction, number of cases that were set aside, and they can be assigned a weightage. Why we have proposed this? That it aligns the interest. When the benchmark is aligned with what you are trying to deliver, the person will be given more performance. You are well versed with it. Every day when we talk with them and when they are frank, they say, well, it comes down to this: we are assessed on a singular criteria, so we are focused on that. So why don't change that criteria so that that relief, that performance can actually be achieved and passed on to the public? So the question to you, and thank you for listening patiently, is: number one, what do you think about this proposal? Number two, do you think this will actually be implemented considering the bureaucracy and the hurdles that we face? Over to you. Difficult
So
questions.
let me just give you a one-liner again. There are no KPIs set for FBR unless you don't set key performance indicators for them, unless their promotions or their rewards are not based on the actuality, because they create the demands haywire, which are then again set aside and all that. So they are not asked anything about it unless you do not prepare their JDs properly. Because nowadays, an officer, he doesn't leave his room. Go back 20 years, the officer used to visit the markets. The officer used to visit the areas. He used to find the new taxpayers. No more. This everything now we do is we attribute it to, let's say, अब टेक्नोलॉजी को आगे आने दो. टेक्नोलॉजी कैसे आगे आएगी? टेक्नोलॉजी को यूज करना पड़ेगा. टेक्नोलॉजी को जब तक आप इस्तेमाल नहीं करेंगे, टेक्नोलॉजी तो है, आइडेंटिफाई भी कर देगी कि ये रेड जोन्स हैं, लेकिन उसको कहीं ना कहीं किसी को इन्फोर्स करना है, किसी को इम्प्लीमेंट कराना है. प्रॉब्लम ये है कि the tax machinery as of now on its own is, I guess my estimate is roughly collecting around 10, 5 to 10%. 10, I'm being very generous actually. 5% taxes on their own. Rest is being collected by us, the withholding agents. All these withholding agents who are non-paid employees of FBR or government of Pakistan, if they deposit a tax one day late, they are slapped with penalty of 25,000, and yet they collect billions and billions of rupees for FBR, and FBR does not even recognize them. You need to change the mindset. You need to structure, no question. But given the current scenarios, it seems highly unlikely. Let me just give you a quick example and then I'll excuse myself from this very good and healthy discussion.
Before you give me the example, sorry to interrupt Zishan Sab, let me just quickly welcome Jameel Akhtar Beg Sab, the president of Lahore Tax Bar Association. He has also kindly joined us now. And let me quickly mention that ACCA has MOUs and agreement with Karachi Tax Bar Association, Lahore Tax Bar Association, which are the two largest tax bars of the country, as well as Multan Tax Bar Association and Pakistan Tax Bar Association. So we welcome you, Jameel Saab. Over to you, Zishan Sab.
So we were talking about structurization. In
You were about
2002,
to give me one example to make the point how
yes,
they
yes,
are.
this is what I'm going to explain. In 2002, new ordinance came. Then we saw the jurisdictions were made into enforcement, audit, facilitation, and all that. TFT. Then after 5 to 7 years or 10 years, they said नहीं यार ये तो कुछ गलती हो गई है, ये तो टैक्स पेयर के लिए बहुत मुश्किल क्रिएट कर दी है. हमने फिर उसको मर्ज कर दिया सारे जुरिस्डिक्शंस. ऑडिट भी एक ही जगह से होने लगा, रिफंड भी एक ही जगह से होने लगा, इन्फोर्समेंट भी एक ही जगह से होने लगी, और लीगल भी वही ऑफिसर देखता था कि जो आपके केस का इंचार्ज. नाउ वी हैव अगेन went back to the old failed tested system, a failed tested system, I would say. We have again we have again gone back to all, and all this was done in the midst and in the wake of structuralization or structuring of FBR. So who are we making fool of? I leave it to your wisdom. I leave it to the audience's wisdom. Unless you do concrete measures which people can see on the ground. Yeah, keep talking like this, Omar, and Zia Saab and Atif, and every one of us would be constantly just banging our heads against the wall or against our hand like this. And this is what, at the end of the day, will happen. And I'm afraid this is what is the fate of all those 2.9 million taxpayers as of now. Unless the mind changes, unless the mindset truly changes in a way that they want to facilitate whosoever are coming, I see not a rosy picture for taxpayers. And I'll beg your
Thank
name
you.
now with all this.
Thank you, Zishan Sab. It was a pleasure having you, and hopefully, we'll be having you in the post budget sessions as well. Thank
It'll
you
be
for
my
joining
pleasure.
us today. Jameel Saab, welcome. My next question is for you. Thank you for joining us. We do appreciate that you had some difficulties, but we are glad that you are finally able to join us. Jameel Saab, if you can hear me, can you unmute yourself, please? Okay, Harun Saab, could you please touch base with Jameel Saab? Meanwhile, I'll quickly ask a question. Okay, I think Jameel Saab is there.
Mr. Umar, hello.
Hey, Jameel, I can hear you now.
Okay, that's fine. No, so
Okay, Jameel bhai, my question for you is that our ACCS taxation subcommittee has highlighted that the unemployment rate was 5.8% according to the Pakistan Economic Survey
yeah,
2019-2020. Obviously, the next one is yet to be released, But the highest unemployment, 11.56%, was among the age 20 to 24, indicating dangerously high level of unemployment in our youth. How worrisome is this, and how do you think this can be reversed? Over to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Omar. Very lovely, my tasteful question you put on to me. I'll always try to build, enhance the capacity building of the resource persons. The government has contributed a lot to increase the unemployment. I'm sure the government has banned the government jobs in education sector, in government sector. Government state has to act as a mother. Unfortunately, it is not our mother. It's creating, it is a killing, it is a burning the human resource. Second is the responsibility of the private sector. Again, it is indirect responsibility of the state. The industrial sector, service sector will grow if the government patronize it. If the government has a policy that industrial revolution should have commenced in our country, trade should have commenced our country, and the human resource will be consumed there. But unfortunately, you have said that is 11 point something is in my opinion, if I go to the root level of the human being poor, it should be more than 20% unemployment. If you include the females, it will go increase upshoot. So our calculations are wrong. And if you said that 11%, 11% is very high figure. So it is a government responsibility. Government should act as a mother, and they should generate jobs for the human being. And I will refer to the Article 38 of the Constitution of Pakistan. In 38 is a clear-cut responsibility of the state to provide the jobs, social security, leisure, rest to all his employments, all his residents, irrespective of the sex, age, whatever. So the state is not doing its responsibility. It is responsibility of the state. If the people are unemployed, they have to pay them the livelihood, the stipend. They should tax serve their families. So its article is very clear, Article 38, and unfortunately you are going to discuss the budget, and we have not taken up the rights of the people. The budget should have been public budget. They should be help to the poor and downward public. Unfortunately, we are just play the figures, generate the revenue, how will be generated, and where will be it will be distributed among the privileged class. Nothing is provided according to the constitution in the budget. Article 80, Article 120 provides how the federal budget is to prepared, how to provincial budgets are prepared. Please refer to the constitution. Does the budget is being prepared according to the constitution? No. If the budget is not prepared according to the constitution, even it is being passed by the assembly, it cannot be constitutional budget. It is against the constitutional budget. If Mr. Omar, you can realize that if the governments work against the constitution, then it is a violation of the constitution. And what is the punishment of the violation of the constitution? You know better that. What are we doing? Please come follow the constitution. You are just, I'm listening to your all discussions. You are working on theories, sitting in cold room. Please come on the roads. Please come in the fields. Please come into the industries. Please come into the sun. Then you will see how poor are living in Pakistan. They are not living as a human being. They are less than animals. It is this budget.
Very well said. Very well
Sorry,
said,
sorry,
Jamil Sahab. And
because my
no,
heart
no,
is
not
burning.
at all. You are
Because
speaking from heart.
class I belong to, I am a son of agriculture. I am proud of it. But I am chartered accountant. I am advocate, but I belong to a village. My father was agriculturist. He put on us education. He put hard money, and then we are. It is our speech.
MashaAllah. Jamil Sahab, you just missed the where we had a very good detailed discussion on agriculture. But thank you very much for that learned answer. And you rightly pointed out the constitutional responsibilities, and any budget that is not able to meet that raises the question of whether it is constitutional or not. Let me just quickly proceed to Mr. Ziaul Mustafa. Zia Sahab, if you can hear us, can you unmute yourself? And can the other panelists mute themselves? और जमील भाई आप अपनी ज़ियारत तो कराएं, आपका तो हमने अभी तक रुख मुबारक नहीं देखा, कैम तो ऑन करें
सर
ना।
सिस्टम में आवाज आ रही है, तस्वीर नहीं आ रही, शायद तस्वीर मेरी आप देखते तो गुस्से नहीं होता मैं
अच्छा
पता नहीं
चले चले
सिस्टम
let me just
प्रॉब्लम
ask this question from
my
Zia Saab and then I'll be coming back to you.
my IT
नहीं
team
नहीं
still
it's
is
fine,
working.
I understand.
Yes, the IT problem, sir.
No problem sir, आप काइंडली जरा खुद को म्यूट कर लीजिए ताकि मैं सवाल ज़िया साहब से पूछ
Okay.
ज़िया साहब, I was having this discussion with Haroon earlier. In one of the previous programs, we actually both listened to your take on the economy, and we really enjoyed it. It's very rare that we get that kind of a take on economy from an accountant. So just very quickly, could you share your views that what do you think was the reason, what turned it around for Pakistan, achieving 4% GDP growth in a global recessionary environment despite COVID-19? Over to you.
Like obviously, we are lucky enough. First of all, COVID is not impacted in the same manner as the rest of the world is affected. Right now, this is the blessing of God that Pakistan is to some extent very much safe. And secondly, there are a number of mega projects are going on in Pakistan. और जैसे हम पढ़ते हैं ना ratio analysis, or sometimes ratios are not giving you the true picture, but with a few by changing few things in the balance sheets we can enhance the things, enhance the can better the presentation of the accounts and of the deliverables. Likewise, I believe that growth is there. There are mega projects like CPEC is going on. If you look कौन कौन से सेक्टर्स में ज्यादा ग्रोथ आई है तो आपको नजर आएगा सीमेंट सेक्टर्स में बड़ी ज्यादा ग्रोथ शो हो रही है, ठीक है, ऑटो इंडस्ट्री में बहुत ज्यादा ग्रोथ शो हो रही है. तो फ्यू सेक्टर्स आर डायरेक्टली रिलेटेड विद टू द कंस्ट्रक्शन, और कंस्ट्रक्शन के अंदर जो मेजर्स लिए हैं अभी इन्होंने, this is also one of the element due to which the activity is right now started. Initially, this government is of the view that construction should not be the priority. To build a road, to build a dam, to build bridges, that should not be the priority. We have to first focus on the soft side, skill development, education, and something like that. But I believe all the things we have to run the parallel way. To whom we have educate, we have to educate them, and for to whom we have to provide the home or shelter, we have to definitely provide them the home or shelter, and such activities need to be supported through banking channels and through government funding. Likewise, these activities have started, and and in the pandemic, food and agriculture. This is one of the core sectors जिसमें which is not suffered at all, and because the food requirements is the basic necessity of any human. So in this Pakistan, growth is very well, and so I believe these are the few sectors due to which the ratio of the growth is is on the positive side. But on ground, realities are somehow different. Ratio में तो आप कह सकते हैं, but on ground क्या है? There are job creation still is an issue. Still is an issue. People are not getting the job. There are several sectors which are totally vanished due to this pandemic. and they are no more existing. People are selling their infrastructures. People are, not able to run the educational institute, not able to run the restaurants, hotels, event management companies are also, affected, and airlines are affected. So there are several sectors are affected, and there is a layoff of the employees from these organizations.
Well said.
So,
Sorry to interrupt, Zia Saab, just coming back to the point, a very interesting point you made. You mentioned that COVID was well managed and we were also not that much impacted. That was a major factor. Do you also believe that the amnesties and support for the construction industry, the immediate major reduction in the interest rate, the extending of loans at just 3% to the businesses, the releasing of the refund to create the liquidity, and the Pakistan remaining open, resulting in export orders of India and Bangladesh, especially textile orders being diverted to Pakistan. Do you think these measures also played any kind of a role in the revival? What's your opinion on that?
yes, I am of the same opinion. These factors also, played a vital role. That the, kind of support and the funding which the government has provided, especially in the construction, and this has generated the economic activity. And due to some pandemic, our textile is, right now overburdened, and they are fully booked. So, but the size of our textile is not so much. These are the, we are between always 20 to 25 billion of exports. So with the 2 to 3 billion jump, normally your ratios are increased. So अगर आप 1 बिलियन का कर रहे हैं काम, आपने 2 का कर लिया, तो आपकी 100% ग्रोथ हो गई. तो likewise on the ground वो चीज नजर नहीं आ रही होती, but people at, in reality people are still, of the opinion that they are facing hard time. Utility cost is on the higher side, cost of living is on the higher side, health issues, these are on the higher side. But as far as ratios are concerned, growth rate is positive, and there are certain elements, and the major element is the construction and the, major projects of in which maybe these projects are not so much labor intensive. So when labor intensive industry will grow, then definitely, there will be a circulation of wealth and the job creation. So the few industries need to be focused more, and but I believe that low interest rate is a positive sign, and which is encouraging. People are going for that, and I believe that this will, now we are somehow feeling that the economy is now moving towards, some positive side. Now this is a feel for, for the last 6 months, you can say. That few things are, now right now maturing, and with this, with these packages and with these incentives, and because, first the focus is towards the audit, towards the accountability, which, damage the whole thing. The trust of the investor is also damaged. The kind of agencies which are involved, people are fear that how they will invest and how they will, go for the execution, and even the bureaucracy and the, they are reluctant to take any decisions. So this is was a major decision, major things that, things were stuck and there was no economic activity. Now, with the start of this economic activity, with the confidence which government has given to their machinery, so with this, we are believing that the things will be improved. And we have to improve the audits, because the kind of audit in Pakistan is not up to the mark. The quality of audit is not up to the mark, because the 3 or 4 agencies, which is FIA, Auditor General of Pakistan, National Accountability Bureau, NAB, they are lacking in auditing skills. They are lacking. So in my belief that when there are, targeted things we are doing, that's why we are the things are damaging. Otherwise, if there is a professional audit, there is a report to the stakeholders every time, then the things will come every year. So rather than coming after 30 years or 20 years, so this is how we are damaging our economy at our own. And so there are some political objectives are behind that, and sometimes, these are the few things, and no professionalism are there. Professional accountants are not there. Systems are not there. Two things are very much important: systems and the HR. You must have a relevant HR and you must have a systems so to maintain all the data and everything. So we are lacking, but with the passage of time, like ACCA, ICMA, tax bars, chambers, trade bodies, everyone is creating creating awareness and raising their voice for the better society, for the betterment of the society, for the betterment of the systems, so that everybody get equal opportunity for a better life. So this is, I think, these are the
Fantastic.
good sessions, and I
I
much
must really
appreciate.
appreciate the real frank discussion, a frank discourse by you, and you have been actually kind enough to share many of the practicalities that most people shy away from talking about. So thank you for sharing that, Ziasab. I would just like, we have a few minutes remaining. I would just like to quickly ask brief questions to Jamil Saab, Daud Saab, and Atif Saab in that order. So please be prepared. These will be the final questions to end the session today. Jamil Saab, being president of Lahore Tax Bar, you are aware that we have an MOU with between ACC and Lahore Tax Bar. What steps do you think we can take to assist members of both the bodies in building up their technical skills while partnering and taking forward our strategic interests as well? Over to you, Jamil Saab. Jamil bhai, can you hear me? You need to unmute yourself. आपको पहले खुद को unmute करना है, फिर आप बोलिएगा.
Okay. Hello. Assalamualaikum. Hello. Do you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Awesome.
The question that how the tax bar and ACCA can cooperate with, and I just modify the question little bit for the development of our country, our state, and tax revenue. We should cooperate with each other to put the proposals and put the pressure on the government that the only way to is the strengthen the economy of the country as a collection of more revenue, more taxation, and that is the broadening of tax base. If you do not broaden the tax base, you cannot collect the more money out of the existing taxpayer, which are assumingly are overburdened. I do not say that they are paying the true and fair taxation. They are maybe doing evasion, they are maybe doing avoidance, but department, Federal Board of Revenue and the provincial authorities are miserably fail to collect from the existing taxpayer the judicious taxation. They are the bureaucrats. We should cooperate. We should cooperate with each other. That in the revenue collection, there should be the professionals, ACCS, chartered accountants, ICMAs, ITPs, whatever MCOMs, PhD in finance, they should put, I give you the guarantee, if you put the one professional there, they will work for 20 deputy commissioners work. I have worked, I have experienced. They have outsourced and we work there as a SSS officer who are doing more work as compared to the bureaucrats. Please put to the proposal to the government. We should pressure on the government that our staff, our professionals are available to serve the nation, to collect the revenue, to do the judicial assessment, to persuade the businessmen that they should pay the tax. We can involve chambers, we can involve other professional and legal bodies. So we should cooperate with each other. We should share our proposal, what I have said, and their committee, if we sit together, they are brainstorming, they have more proposal to the for the government. The revenue should have been increased. Okay.
Fantastic feedback, Jamil Bhai. I think very well said and a very good proposal. And inshallah, ACCA will be collaborating with Lahore Tax Bar for post-budget events to follow the suit that you mentioned. Thank
We
you for your
welcome.
valued inputs. With that, let's move forward to Daud Saab. But before we move forward to Daud Saab, can I quickly ask everyone, अगर सारे 1 मिनट के लिए अपना कैमरा ऑन कर लें ताकि हम एक ग्रुप पिक्चर ले लें, उसके बाद आप बेशक इसे ऑफ कर लीजिएगा आवाज।
I am sorry I don't. I am sorry I
दाऊद साहब
don't seem to have this
आपकी तो
facility
मजबूरी
on
है,
cell phone.
कोई इशू नहीं, कोई
जी
इशू
जी
नहीं।
जी जी
लेकिन जमील साहब और सजीद साहब, आप भी जरा अपने रुखे रोशन हमें दिखा दें। जमील साहब अभी तो आवाज का इशू नहीं है ना, अभी तो कैमरा ऑन कर लें। सजीद भाई आप भी जरा कैमरा ऑन कर दें ताकि हम एक ग्रुप पिक्चर ले लें। Okay, I think there are some internet issues, so let me just take a group picture of us three at least. Zia sahab, please put on your best smile. Perfect, that's more like it. Thank you so much. So over to you, Daud sahab. Any closing comments?
I think there is a lot of mistrust between the SSCs and the government. I think until you see this mistrust exists, you see the problem would never be solved. So I think the government should come forward. The government should listen to the people who are the stakeholders, and you see, bring in necessary changes as have been proposed by you, and this is very important. Training is very important
Thank
for
you,
those
sir.
people who are responsible. Thank you.
Thank you, Daud Saab. Very well said. I think very aptly put the crux of the discussion. Over to you, Atif. Last but not the least by any means, this was your first time on the taxation subcommittee. So I think the most important question that I should be putting to you is, how proud are you feeling? And where are you looking to go from here?
Really, it's a very, very good experience being a part of this subcommittee and after being a part of the committee at Karachi Tax Bar. With that, I'm also an elected executive member with Karachi Tax Bar. So the experiences from two different platforms is really enriching me specifically, and it's giving me opportunity to share my experiences with all and learning from all you seniors. And again, wherever I see there is something to be highlighted with the FBRs and like that, I must have, and I see it's my responsibility that we, being a part of subcommittee, we must have to highlight with the FBRs the issues people are facing. See, really, what I see generally, people are willing to pay the taxes, but they are reluctant due to number of the facts, and obviously that facts must have to be highlighted. Tax authorities' attitude sometimes leads to harassment to the taxpayers who are already paying the taxes. We need to
Which
focus
is a
them
key proposal that
towards
we made.
those who are not already paying taxes and they are not under the umbrella of such type of things.
Thank you. Thank you, Atif,
And
for the wonderful contribution and joining us today. Before the closing note and note of thanks, I think it's only pertinent to ask the co-host of today, co-host in the sense that this was a joint venture of ACC and ICMAP, the Honorable President ICMAP, Mr. Ziaul Mustafa Sahab, for any closing words.
Thank you, Umar. I think it's a good effort on your part and on the part of ACCA team. You organized a very good session, invited relevant professionals, and provide the opportunity to everyone to share their views. And a very good audience was, joined us on this session. and ICCA and ICMA both have submitted their proposals, and we are expecting that definitely stakeholders and the decision makers will give the weightage to all these proposals, and we are expecting a good budget, and we are expecting good measures. And I believe this is the role of professional accounting organizations like ACCA, ICMA to create awareness about such things and to support the government and to work for the betterment of the society. So this is, I believe, we are doing at our, at our best, and inshallah, the results will be, in the days to come, we will see the better things in Pakistan.
Inshallah. Thank you, Zia Saab. Very, very well said and aptly put. Thank you, Sajid. Thank you to the entire ACCA team. And once again, a special thank for all the participants, Honorable Mr. Jameel Akhtar Beg, the President of Lahore Tax Bar Association, Mr. Zishan Merchant, the President of Karachi Tax Bar Association, Mr. Daud Ahmed, the SVP of Pakistan-China Joint Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mr. Atif Nawaz, FCC and member of Taxation Subcommittee. And obviously, once again, thank you to you as well, Ziasa, for joining us today. Thank you,
Thank you.
guys, all the participants who took out time to join the session today, all our attendees. Have a nice evening, and we'll see you soon for the post-budget sessions. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.